Greetings, human. I welcome you. The thumbnail speaks for itself, so let's just get down to the disclaimer. The video is not made for anyone writing exams tomorrow or next week, as the amount of information that you're about to receive may become burdensome, and it is far from my intention for you to get something called information overload. The video, however, promises to dissect every single thing that is in this paper, answering both questions why and why not. Now let us begin. Section A. Short questions. Question 1. Definitions. Give the most appropriate term for each of the following expressions. For definitions in IT and CAT, my advice would be for you to arrange every single exam papers 5 years prior up to your current year, both May and November exam papers. Then set it up as a single PDF, print it out and share it with your friends. A wise man once said, "The best and most effective way to learn for those who aren't completely self-motivated is to put in the effort as though it is for everyone in your inner circle, including yourself." 1.1. A program which converts source code into machine code line by line. The answer there is interpreter. Now please, do not make a mistake of writing translator. Believe me, it happens. 1.2. The part of the machine cycle which translates the instruction into CPU commands. The answer there is decode. Now let's talk about the machine cycle for a brief moment. The machine cycle has 4 main stages: fetch, decode, execute, and store. Fetch collects instruction from memory. Decode interprets instructions into CPU commands. Execute executes CPU command. And finally, store transmits and writes the result back to the memory. Now this is the most basic function every simple to complex machine follows. Now let's take an example of a digital timer. A person, let's say a girl wants to record the amount of time that it takes for her to type up an article in exactly 2 minutes. The digital timer has exactly 3 buttons. The first one records the minutes, the second one records the seconds, and the third one is a combination function of start and stop. Once the minute button has been clicked 2 times, the machine fetches the instruction. The instruction from memory tells it to multiply the number of times the minute button has been clicked by 60 seconds. Then afterwards, it decodes the information. After collecting the number of times the button has been clicked, it multiplies it by 60 seconds. Then afterwards, it translates that instruction into CPU commands. Once the start button has been clicked, it executes the CPU commands. The execution process makes the timer count down to the last second. The store process transmits and writes the results back to the memory. The transmission can be seen in the monitor of the digital timer. It will show the number going down up until it reaches 0.00. 1.3. A form of network transmission where packets are transmitted to all nodes on the network rather than a specific device. The answer here is broadcasting. 1.4. A memory management technique where secondary storage can be used as if it were main memory. The answer is virtual memory. Now that raises the question, why virtual? We understand the difference between secondary storage and RAM. RAM is volatile memory, which means that once the computer switches off, the memory that it was storing would be completely eliminated. Secondary storage is permanent memory. Now, what this technique does is that it creates the illusion that a physical RAM has been placed in the motherboard of the computer, when in reality, all we did was share the permanent storage, which is our HDD or our SDD, with the memory. So now let me ask you a question. Now that we know that virtual memory is stored in the secondary storage, which stores permanent memory, once the computer switches off, will the virtual memory completely be eliminated? The answer is yes. This is because the computer still believes that it is an added RAM. Therefore, it will treat whatever memory it stores there as volatile, and it will completely be eliminated once the computer is switched off. 1.5. Reorganizing the data stored on HDD into contiguous blocks. This technique is known as disk defragmentation, or defragmentation in short. 1.6. A portion of a packet which contains the data being transmitted. The answer there is payload. Let's discuss the structure of a data packet. A data packet has three main properties. Firstly, the header, the payload, and lastly, the trailer. The header contains control information such as source and destination IP addresses, packet length, and sequence numbers. The payload is the actual data being transmitted, such as the text, images, video, or audio. The last one is the trailer, containing error checking data such as checksums or cyclic redundancy checks, CRCs, to ensure data integrity. So now let's assume that a person is downloading a video from the internet. The video right now is located in a server, which, as we can see here, the server IP address is using IPv6. And the receiver IP address, which is the person's phone, is using IPv4 address. Now, as the person is downloading the video, the header and the trailer would practically be the same, because the sender IP address and the receiver IP address is the same, and the error checking protocol would probably be the same. So now the only difference would be the payload. Assuming that each packet transmits 2 or 3 seconds of the video, every single video would have its own unique header sequence number. The first packet, which is 2 to 3 seconds, would have the sequence number 1, the second packet 2, the third packet 3, and so on. And the size of each payload of the packet would be different because the video would contain different scenes which has a lot of motion. Now, that is just for this example. Some data transferer will have different header, payload, and trailers altogether. 1.7. An older communications technology which simultaneously transmits voice and data over public telephone networks using copper cables. The answer there is asymmetrical digital subscriber line. The key giveaways were copper cables, public telephone, and older communications. 1.8. Software which protects a computer against malicious programs. The answer there is anti-malware. Anti-malware seems to be the most preferred option these days because it encapsulates every other thing. Antivirus is also correct. 1.9. A secure data transmission protocol for viewing internet pages with a web browser. The answer there is HTTPS. The key giveaway there is secure transmission protocol and web browser. 1.10. Software which redirects traffic through a network of servers to avoid being traced and which uses layered encryption for protection. The answer is Tor, the onion router, but VPN is also a valid answer.